everyone, my name is Sophie Belanis, and today I am here with Maddie Girardi, who is one of our new occupational therapists at NESCA. As some of you may know, NESCA has recently expanded, and we now have a sensory motor-based occupational therapy department. Maddie is a part of our new team, and I am so excited to learn a little bit more about her experience and just her love for OT. This interview is especially fun for me because Maddie and I went to the same graduate school at the MGH Institute of Health Professions. So Maddie, welcome. I'm so glad that we have the opportunity to speak a little bit today.
Thanks for the warm welcome, Sophie. As Sophie had mentioned, my name is Maddie Girardi, and I am one of the OTs at NESCA, and I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So to get us started, why don't you tell me a little bit about your educational background leading up to becoming an OT?
Sure. So I grew up in Hopkinton, Massachusetts, which is not too far from Newton, where NESCA is. And I lived in Hopkinton all the way up through high school. And then I moved to Charleston, South Carolina to complete my 4-year undergrad degree. And then I realized I wanted to go to OT school, and I applied to schools and ended up moving back to Boston for graduate school, where I attended the MGH Institute of Health Professions in Boston. This was honestly one of the best decisions I made because I was surrounded by amazing professors in some of the best hospitals and facilities and organizations in the country. So that's what brought me where I am today.
Awesome. So you mentioned that your senior year, you just knew you wanted to be an OT. So what kind of led to your interest in OT?
So in undergrad, I was a kinesiology major, which is the study of movement, for those of you who don't know. And I began taking classes on child development and exercise. And this is where I really got involved in volunteering and mentoring for kids with disabilities and from underprivileged backgrounds. And this is where I recognized that I really wanted to work with kids. Mm-hmm. Another piece was that I was always interested in the psychology piece of things. And so I feel like OT is a kind of a balance and combination between science and psychology. And so that was something that really interested me.
Absolutely. As a psychology major, I completely agree with you. So going off of that, what would you say are currently kind of your specific clinical interests?
So I have enjoyed every aspect of OT thus far. I haven't really found like an area that I don't find interesting. So in grad school, I completed both of my full-time fieldworks in pediatric populations. So one was in school-based OT and one was in outpatient OT. So definitely one of my clinical interests is pediatrics. I specifically enjoy working with kids aged like birth to 7 or 8. So I love working with the younger age because it's just been so much fun and incorporating play into all of my therapy sessions. Something else that is a clinical interest is working with the population of individuals with neurological conditions. So in grad school, I completed my doctoral research on working with individuals with communication disorders after stroke or brain injury. So I would say that I definitely would love to learn and work more with this population, specifically in pediatrics. So that's something awesome. I want to know more about.
It's fascinating. So what would you say, this is kind of a two-part question, what would you say are the most exciting and the most challenging aspects of your role?
So I would say the most exciting part is that every day is a little bit different. I learn something new every single day. There's never really like a set expectation coming into work, but it's always so much fun to be able to problem solve and kind of help kids to face these challenges and obstacles as they come. I have learned so much from these individuals who face these challenges and just have gained a totally new perspective and insight on the challenges that they face throughout life. I would say the most challenging part is just managing some of the challenging behaviors and just making sure that everything is motivating and fun and client-centered, because otherwise the kids won't be motivated and it won't be meaningful. So that's just something that I have to keep in mind every day.
Yeah, getting that buy-in is definitely a skill. So what are some of your favorite activities to do with kids that kind of keep them engaged and keep them motivated?
Yeah, so like I said, a big part of my job as a pediatric OT is incorporating play and making it fun. So I think one thing that I really enjoy is incorporating that sensory piece, the sensory approach. And that sometimes means getting messy and engaging in like messy play, which means like incorporating activities that have different textures like shaving cream, finger paint, foods like yogurt, applesauce, slime, bubbles, soap. And this is always a lot of fun for me. Sometimes kids just need to work on tolerating the textures, but there are also so many different activities that you can do to work on other skills like writing numbers, writing letters, body awareness. And so I think thinking of fun ways to target these skills is my favorite part of the job.
Yeah, I mean, coming to work and getting to play all day is kind of a nice perk. So I guess I'll ask about the elephant in the room, but how has COVID-19 impacted the way that you treat patients and clients and families?
Yeah. So it's definitely been challenging. I think at first there was a lot of adapting and just being, as many therapists are, so hands-on. I think that this was a learning process. In the end, it's definitely something I have become grateful for because I've learned to use and develop so many skills. Something that I have learned to adapt to is just using materials or equipment that the family has available in their home, and figuring out ways to target a skill with like minimal equipment or resources. Something that has really become a focus of my therapy sessions during COVID-19 is like the parent education aspect. So because I'm seeing so many of these kids in their home environment, I get to see what their daily routine is like, how they're interacting with their siblings, the family dynamic. And I have really enjoyed educating parents and making sure that the carryover of the skills is there, because that wasn't something that was as doable when I wasn't seeing them in the home setting.
It's a cool silver lining, I think, being able to incorporate kind of the whole family system into a therapy session.
For sure.
I think that's been a nice, like you said, like a nice thing to learn how to do and how to incorporate.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to use this as my last question. I think it's always fun to end on something positive, but could you share with me or share with all of us a success story that kind of made you proud and made you excited about your role as an OT?
Yeah. So I mentioned before that I worked with individuals with neurological difficulties. A success story I have had was in 2019, in the spring, I worked on leading I guess we could call it like intensive camp for individuals with neurological conditions, both like children and adults. So it was working on like community-based skills. So we did a lot of yoga, gardening, cooking, baking, grocery shopping, working on using public transportation, adaptive biking, meditation, all those kinds of things. And this was honestly an amazing experience for me because I got to help people participate in the community and their daily activities, which as an OT is so fulfilling. So looking back on that, I would consider that one of my favorite memories as a therapist.
Yeah, that's awesome. Being able to kind of use that holistic approach is always so nice. That's a
Really.
great story. Well, Maddie, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. It was great to learn a little bit about you, and I'm really excited to keep working together.
Me too. Thank you for your time, Sophie.